I guess we started this project with the apprentices that we're working with in mind, and I think the key for us was what needs did they have, and what's the sort of the context and the background in which they're operating. And I think there was a number of things that were key for us. One was the fact that we're having quite a large influx of footballers coming into England, certainly, and also across the UK, and very few going the other way. So there was a sort of a question mark as to why that was happening. I think the other thing that we were quite keen to look at was what happens after they finish their apprenticeship programme. We have quite a large number of apprentices who are on a programme with a view to becoming a professional footballer, and unfortunately 60+% of them will not be offered that professional contract at the end of the apprenticeship. And actually, even those that are offered a contract, a year later, that number gets cut in half again and again and again. So there was quite a large need for us to make sure that they had a next step, and we're sort of tooled up to take that next step. Yeah, the issue for those guys is really the volume of people who aren't going to make it. And what sits behind that actually is probably them being involved at a football club from the age of 8 or 9 years, all the way up to 18 years old. All the time at which they're being told, actually, yeah, you're the best, and we want to make you a professional footballer, and you stand a chance of becoming a professional footballer. So the numbers create an issue, but also I guess that sort of socialisation of 10 years worth of being told you're going to be something and then you're not. And that brings with it quite a number of issues around identity. Who am I? What am I worth? What value have I got beyond my performance and my football ability? So those are the things that we find trying to support people coming out of the apprenticeship that we need to work on. We've had people feedback to us that this was life-changing for them, and for many reasons. One of them being perhaps they weren't necessarily in love with the game still here after sort of a rejection, and then moving away to a different country and a different organisation has just really reignited that enjoyment for simply playing. Equally, it's allowed them to start again, really to establish themselves, really start to understand a bit more about who they are, what they want from life. The skills as well, communication, interpersonal skills, independence, all of these things which, unfortunately, in some of the instances in the clubs here, they're often just told what to do and where to go and where to be. And actually, as much as they adhere to those rules and they do those things, it's not necessarily building that independence, responsibility, resilience, determination within themselves. It's sort of almost been told rather than developed. And as soon as they're on their own, possibly with another individual from a similar background, that's when all this stuff starts to come through, and they start to really benefit from that. The best example of cold hard facts, I guess, is the placement programme, in that around 35% of them go on to have a contract and have a working life in the country that they went to. But in our industry, we're talking 1 or 2% that carry on to have a full career. So when 35% of them move abroad and secure that, that's a great indicator that the fact has been successful. Equally, I don't think they would be successful if it wasn't for the other employability skills that they have to gain. They have to be able to develop new relationships. They have to be able to have a grasp of the language. They have to immerse themselves in the culture of that new country. I think it's not instant. That said, we've been doing this for a number of years now, and I think we're starting to see a shift in this country in terms of how the governing bodies are putting in regulation and training to really look at this personal development of the players in a much more cohesive way. So we've seen the Premier League, the EFL, the PFA and the FA all get together around a coaching strategy, and fundamental to that coaching strategy is actually the introduction of coaches understanding more about the personal development of the players that they're working with, whether that's at a grassroots level or into the academy level, which we're operating at. LFE, who are actually a partnership between the EFL and the PFA, we've also developed what we've called a personal development and behaviour and welfare model, which really stemmed from a lot of the learning that we gained from the projects and across all three of them, you know, the 12, the 2 and the 1 week placements. And I think between those particular activities and those sort of strategic developments, we're seeing slowly a cultural shift which is getting there. If I looked at some of the impact beyond the projects, just in terms of country to country engagement, open up of communication lines, you know, we know that there are now more players in Sweden, not because of this programme directly, but absolutely indirectly. So, and the same will happen in terms of you know, exchange of ideas and information at the coaching level. You know, yes, there are study visits that the FA undertake, but I think the structure around Erasmus, it makes it much deeper, much broader, and you have to reflect much more closely on, are we doing this? Are we doing it well? What we're getting out of it? What's the impact? Because of the structure of it. And actually that's really helpful. It's very easy to go to a country and look around and say, well, that was very nice, thanks very much, without really recognising the learning that's going on. And I think through Erasmus Plus and the structure, I think that absolutely has to come out, and is hugely important for us.